Of the Johannesburg coalition government. On Friday, you might remember that the DA's Mpho Phalatse was ousted as mayor, but she's not backing down without a fight. Phalatse has filed court papers to challenge her ousting. The ANC is now back in power in the Joburg Metro, with Dada Morero now the executive mayor. There's been mixed reaction to this, of course, to the removal of Phalatse. We have the former mayor with us, Mpho Phalatse. She joins us now virtually. Thank you very much, Dr. Phalatse, for your time here on ENCA. Just first of all, in terms of this new court case, help me understand exactly on what grounds, because our understanding is that last week, Friday, you were not granted that urgency to stop the council meeting from sitting, or the council from sitting. So is it because you didn't have time the last time and you believe that this time the court will be able to give you its ear?
The only reason our case was not heard the last time is because by the time it got to the judge, the vote had already gone through. So it no longer qualified for an urgent incident.
Yeah.
Therefore, it was moved to a role, and it will still be heard. We believe we may be in court on the 11th of October.
So that means, you still feel confident about your position as mayor, as you said in that video you released on Twitter on Friday?
Definitely. I've not been removed through a legal process of council. Therefore, legally, I'm still the mayor of Johannesburg, but we will allow the courts to help reinstate me into that position.
Let's talk about the allegations that have been doing the rounds by some of your coalition partners, including your COPE, your IFP, as well as the Patriotic Alliance, saying that basically the DA is racist and the DA is a bullyish party. Every time it comes to discussions, etc., for instance, saying that you didn't support the offer to have an IFP member of council as the speaker. You wanted it to be someone from the DA. Is this true about your party?
The coalition is governed through a coalition agreement that was signed by all partners. It was signed when the coalition was put in place. And everything we do is in line with that coalition agreement. We've had one change ever since we signed the coalition agreement. That's when we brought on board the Patriotic Alliance, at which time Freedom Front Plus was able to move to the legislature to a chairperson position, allowing the Patriotic Alliance to move into its health and social development MMC position. The coalition agreement also makes room for a review, and that time has not come yet. It was the position of the Democratic Alliance that we should not use a crisis situation to review a coalition agreement, but that we should rather fill it in terms of what we have all agreed to and signed, until such time a review is due, in which case then we will do a holistic review of the agreement without any pressure and in the right frame of mind. This was a crisis situation. The agreement says the position of the speaker belongs to the Democratic Alliance, and it was for that reason that the Democratic Alliance felt, let's stick to that for now. When the time of the review comes, we can all put our points forward, not being under pressure, and we can make the best decisions for our residents.
So if the court does rule in your favor this time on the 11th of October, I think you said, Dr. Phalatse, we saw already with your coalition partners as the DA that they're not necessarily on your side anymore. So if the court does grant this application in favor of yourself, are you not still worried that once there is a table of a motion of no confidence against you, it'll still pass anyway, even if it's at a later stage?
Yeah, I'm committed to fighting for our residents. And you're right in saying that the fight is not only legal, it's also political. But I will put up a legal fight and I'll put up a political fight. Our residents deserve it. Our residents cannot go into council and fight for themselves at this stage. Our residents voted in November, and right now they're expecting us or somebody on the inside to fight for them against this corrupt cabal that's now coming to govern. And if we don't do it, then who should do it?
You know what's interesting as well, Dr. Phalatse, is that when your predecessor, one of your predecessors, that is, of course, Herman Mashaba, left the DA and resigned as mayor, the reasons that all these political parties are giving were the exact same reasons as he did, saying that the DA won't listen to him and that the DA is a party that doesn't want to actually, give services to the poorest of the poor. They're more interested in those in the leafy suburbs. So it's one of those things where you start to think as a Joburg resident that if so many people are saying this about the Democratic Alliance, maybe there's some truth to it.
In a conversation with one of our former partners, he actually alluded to the fact that what former Mayor Herman Mashaba said about the DA really did frame the narrative, unfortunately, for our coalition partners. And I found that we've had to defend ourselves throughout the coalition against those things that were said then when Mr. Mashaba left. It does not mean it's true. It just means that people believed it and that became the narrative. But we will continue to demonstrate who we are as the Democratic Alliance. It's not true that we're racist. It's not true that we don't service underprivileged areas. In fact, if you look at our budget, it will prove the contrary is actually true. So no, it's not true. Unfortunately, it is a narrative that's still out there. But we'll continue to work hard to make sure that that does not remain truth in people's minds.
And your relationship, for instance, with Connie, or rather Colleen Makhubela, you know, it seems to the public to be quite a strained relationship when actually you're supposed to be on one side. There was a court battle when she took up the seat of Speaker. As Chair of Chairs, she took up the seat of an acting Speaker when Vasco da Gama was ousted. That court challenge obviously was on your side, etc. Eventually, she was reinstated or instated as the Speaker. So a lot of people are asking themselves, how's the relationship between the two of you? How's it going to work when you have to work together as Speaker and Mayor if you are reinstated?
And I need to make this very clear. Council is a legal entity. It is run by rules and it is run subject to the laws of this country.
Yeah.
Where there is deviation from council rules or the laws of this country or both, somebody who is responsible needs to speak up and stop that abuse of power. So none of this speaks to my relationship with Councillor Colleen Makhubela. If I see Councillor Colleen Makhubela, I'm civil with her. I don't have any issues with her as a person, but to the extent that she disrespects the rules of council and the laws of this land, I will always challenge her.
But aren't you worried as the Democratic Alliance that the coalition in Johannesburg at least is dead because of some of your coalition partners and the decisions that they've basically taken against you?
I can choose to sit and be worried and do nothing, or I can choose to stand up and fight for our residents. So yes, I'm concerned about what I'm seeing unfolding, but however, it's not final. It's not final until somebody gives up. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on our residents. I promise never to abandon them, and I will not abandon them. Therefore, I will put up a fight, and I will only give up. There's absolutely no hope. Right now, there's lots of hope. There's lots of space to rebuild, regroup, and continue building our city.
You know, yesterday, Action SA alluded to, you know, saying that if, you know, former Mayor Mpho Phalatse is willing, the Action SA party is open to welcome her as a member and one of its leaders. Would you ever consider doing that?
No, no. I'm very happy in the Democratic Alliance. I'm not looking for an alternative home because there is no alternative for me at the moment in South Africa. I'm happy where I am. I will continue to build with my party. My party is completely behind me. They're completely supporting me in the fight back for Johannesburg.
I like that you brought the fact that your party is, you know, supporting you and that they're completely behind you, because our understanding from the many journalists that have been speaking to your coalition partners, whether it be ENCA or other channels or newspapers, etc., some of those councillors or members of your coalition have been basically saying that you have not really been, you know, made a part of the loop when it comes to negotiations, etc., that you are basically just bulldozed by the national leadership of the Democratic Alliance and that your opinion is not really considered much. What do you say to those notions?
I mean, I've dispelled those notions today. In fact, I've been off social media. I've been quite busy with the legal fight and everything else. But when I saw that, I took to Twitter and I actually corrected this. This is completely untrue. There is no platform that I'm supposed to serve on that I'm not serving on, whether it's the Coalition Oversight Group of the Coalition, which is a platform where our national leaders of the different political parties deliberate, whether it's the Technical Task Team, which is the, again, national platform that looks at the day-to-day running of the coalition. I have participated in every single meeting that discussed the city of Johannesburg, unless I myself was held up and sent someone to represent me. Of course, I don't serve on the party's FedEx. It is the structure of the party, and not all, in fact, mayors don't serve on FedEx. So that's the only structure that I don't serve on. However, whoever goes from the coalition structures to FedEx represents my interests. I would have been consulted on what I would like to see happen, and my thoughts and my views get get taken to FedEx. In fact, when we looked at who we're going to put forward as a speaker, I was invited to a FedEx meeting where I was asked to air my views on who I think should be put forward. So it's completely untrue. And I'm very concerned about who's driving this narrative and to what end.
All right. Former Johannesburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse, we'll see you on the 11th of October, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you after that. Doesn't matter which direction it goes. Thank you very much for speaking to us. All right.